Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of MTG Arena Run, and today we are going to be doing the one, I couldn't believe this, but this is probably going to be the one event that I really hate. Okay, I probably hate Omniscient Draft where you actually have to pay and you have to draft the cards. I probably hate that one even more. But this one, I would say it's a bit of a nightmare here. Okay, so for a bit of context, when we had Midnight Hunt, they just gave us simple singleton. I think it was singleton with a grab bag. If I'm not, no, that was one of the other events. But they just had us do regular singleton for the styles, and it was fine. I actually enjoyed that one. This one, not so much because let's go for starters. One, it's the kind of the opposite singleton. It's not quite all 4 copies. Okay, they reduced it to 3, and they give us a little extra bonus here. So they give us a bonus with these Bonds of Blood emblems. So whenever you cast a spell, if it has the same name as a permanent you control or a card in your graveyard, you create 2 blood tokens. So that's why they want to encourage you to play multiples. Unfortunately, if you're looking for something interesting to do with the blood tokens, maybe everyone is just going to port their regular standard decks minus a few cards. In fact, it's actually kind of beneficial because a lot of the cards that that you can't make room for because it's of all the 4-offs, you can now make room because you're forced to play 3-offs instead. So I actually could have stopped the second time I got the 0 win run. I got the Sorin art already. I already like that one. But for the sake of everyone watching here, we're going to go over this format. Oh yeah, I also forgot there is an additional ban list, but it's very weak. Okay, so they primarily prioritize banning of getting where you can shoot their creatures because it kind of powers up the Bonds of Blood. So Grandmaster Flowers because it can shooter a certain monk, Legion Angel because it shooters copies of itself. Omnath, though, I wonder why it's already banned anyway. But I guess it is kind of overpowered in a sense. Wretched Trunk because it shooters itself. Yasharn Implacable Earth, this one hits me personally. I really don't like this. But they put it there so that you don't short circuit the blood tokens. But we'll be honest, it also prevents you from short circuiting the treasure tokens. And actually because of that, all treasure gameplay is a lot more prevalent, which is why you will see the deck I'm choosing. It's probably the most boring. You've probably all seen it before, but if you want to get more wins than 0, you kind of have to go for it. So now that said, from my experience, other people have said that they could also get away with control builds. Unfortunately, I don't. It's a bit hard to port that. You really need a lot. I'm missing a lot of the rares and mythics to do that. Blue-black control would be an interesting one. White-blue control would be interesting. You have to play some form of control. You have to assume that everyone is going to be playing the 3 copies of Alrund's Epiphany backed up by a bunch of Hall of Storm giants. And that's pretty much the gameplay there. So as you can see, the typical stuff. I didn't go all 3 copies of Galvanic Iteration. That's cruel and unusual. The only nods I added for and people have also been running Battle of Frost and Fire in conjunction with Burn Down the House. It's actually a very neat combo with Cyclone Summoner because you get to buy back your Wrath. And mono aggro, mono white or mono green, those are probably the next 2 that are most played / overplayed. You expect to see a lot of those. So if you're not going to prepare for this one, you have to at least prepare for the other ones. But that's the hard part. I wanted to do the simple mono white, but it is really fine tuned. I wanted to do mid range, but it just gets wrecked on both ends of the spectrum here. But that said, I did add a few copies of Wash Away as a one to get extra counter spells, and 2, it's a nod for the Alrund's Epiphany deck. Even if it just your opponent gets Galvanic Iteration, I would rather face off against 1 copy than 2 copies. So that's one thing. There's also a few copies of You Find Some Prisoners. It's which is actually quite decent. I originally wanted to run blue black for the Siphon Insight, but again, I said I was missing a lot of the mythics to make up the top end. So so this one is kind of like budget Siphon Insight. You you only get to look at the top three. You only get to do this as a one shot. You only get to get 1 out of 3 instead of 2 out of 4, if I'm not mistaken. Well, the 2 out of 4 includes the flashback, and you have a limited duration. Like, you have to cast it within the until you have until your next turn to cast it. But this card has saved my bacon quite a few times. That said, this is pretty much the list. I'm sideboard, the typical stuff: environmental sciences, teaching of the archaics, mascot exhibition. There's a single start from scratch. I guess I probably would have liked the third environmental sciences, but I do want to have an extra option there. Also, we only have 3 copies to divide by 0, so we're not exactly learning a lot. Although in combo with galvanic iteration, this is quite decent. So there we go. There we go. So yeah, now that you've heard all my gripes about this particular format, let's win some card styles. I already said I got the one I really wanted the most, but since I'm in for a penny for in for a pound, but at the very least, let's try to do it in a way that we're not hemorrhaging gems all throughout. So already we have a bit of a tinker here. Our opponent gets to go first. I need to decide if I want to hold up Jawari Disruption or not. We're playing Frostbow Snarl for turn 1 anyway. If it's aggro, we at least have a Battle of Frost and Fire, but everyone is running Elite Spellbind. Okay, so it's black-red. Actually, black-red's a bit of another flavor. Duress. So we will probably lose the... It depends on what version. If we lose the Battle of Frost and Fire, our opponent has a lot of the 1-drops. If we lose the Unexpected Windfall, we could lose the Jawari Disruption because it's a land. Okay, we lost the Unexpected Windfall, so we might as well play the Jawari Disruption since they're not going to stumble onto it. So we got our Expressive Iteration. We'll use this to fix our land drops. It's also a way to see if our opponent has the Jawari Disruption. Yet they do, so let's get that out of the way. Blue-black, this one is good if against us particularly. It's kind of bad against... okay, so they hit the Celestus. We unfortunately need... So, oh gosh, we're gonna miss our lands. Okay, we're probably not gonna need the Demon Bolts, so we'll put Alrins in hand. Put the Deluge here. Actually, I should have put the... Actually, shouldn't have put Alrins in hand. We don't exactly have the Galvanic quite yet. Our opponent just has to cast nothing and they get something out of this. Our immediate... Now they're going Expressive Iteration. We need to snipe the Celestus, which is why we have copies of Prismari Command. We have to remember our opponent has 2, maybe 3 mana, depending on what they filter out. This is probably a Leer build, so we are going to... We need to lean on these divide by zeros quite a bit. Thankfully, they're... Okay, they actually whiff. They might have a land, yeah, but they kind of whiffed on this one. They still have 3 mana though, so that is an issue. Do I need to snipe this right away? Because our opponent cast a spell. If we don't want to give our opponent a free mill, we have to do this now, but it leaves us kind of open. Everything leaves us open, which is horrible. Yeah, we're just gonna end the turn. We'll let our opponent have it. I kind of considered adding the Celestus also, but it's not... Surprisingly, even with only 3... Even if you're cut down to 3 cards instead of 4 cards, there's only so many spaces you can have. I'm also wondering, how are people able to run 3-color decks and have Field of Ruin? so bloody greedy. I don't understand. Okay, so treasure token, destroy target artifact. Opponent probably has a counter for this. In which case, let's get it out of the way. Opponent already exiled one Celestus. Oh, they're gonna go for some. Oh, they might have something for us. Galvanic into something. Surprisingly, they did not give themselves double blue, so I know there's no memory deluge. Okay, we got the wash away in case our opponent goes for this from the graveyard. I might actually just foretell the Alrund's Epiphany as a safety. We are missing land drops, which is an issue. But I really don't think we'll be casting Battle of Frost and Fire anytime soon. We probably still need it because our opponent definitely... This is definitely a Lear Hullbreaker build. Can't counter the Hullbreaker, which is an issue, so we're going to be leaning hard on that Divide by Zero. Yeah, I really need to decide what... Opponent is... Yeah, and I'm gonna say... Okay, well, this is technically my first time running into Grixis. In terms of this style of gameplay, this is already kind of expected. Opponent probably wants to nuke my Hall of the Storm Giant. It does fix their mana. It also... I could not find room for this, which is unfortunate. I really... If you feel very confident, you should. Though surprisingly, it does give us the 6 mana, so we do have double Divide by Zero, although we will be needing lands if we want to cast Alrund anytime soon. Opponent now has Magic 7, so Hullbreaker Horror is an issue. Any Divide by Zero is also an issue because it just sends it back, so... Am I likely to cast back? Probably... Because I can discard this. Yeah, because our opponent has a Life Hall of the Storm Giants, it's highly unlikely we will survive an Alrund's Epiphany anyway. Okay, we'll take... Yeah, we'll keep that one because we do need the safety. Okay, I didn't need that second safety land. If our opponent wants to start hitting us, it's actually fine because it really taps them out. I don't think our opponent's gonna do that though. Getting rid of that Celestus is a big help. Okay, so let's craft. Discard the land. We don't have anything for this. I believe if you're running black, Soul Shatter is a very good option for... Well, no, it's unfortunate. It's likely that our opponent will have a board. Yeah, my concern also is that our opponent might have a wash away, and our wash away is not going to counter their wash away. We might have to be patient and take some hits though. If we hit the Galvanic iteration, it's pretty good for us because even if our opponent has to wash away for the Alrund's Epiphany, we will get the second shot. And this is practically going to be a defensive Epiphany. Yeah, pretty much most of these battles will end up being Storm Giant, Storm Giant. No point trying to cast that, so we'll pass. We do have an unexpected windfall, but I think I can afford to take another hit. Yeah, we're probably not gonna need this. This Mari command's okay, Deluge is kinda okay. So we can Deluge end of turn. We are on the ropes right now. If our opponent has any more, because that time we were concerned about wash away as a possibility. This time, if our opponent plays another land like that, we're now concerned about disruption. Okay, disruption less so. Negate is the real concern, I would say. So we might go for the Deluge now. Okay. Let's see if they have the negate. If they have the negate, we got it out of the way. That we can be thankful for that at least. Okay. Oh, we got the iteration as well. So we are going to buy ourselves quite a bit of time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're gonna need to actually cast this. So we got the minimal safety. Our opponent could have a Cinderclasm. It will wipe out all our birds, but which is a bad beat, but it's better than what we have, all things considered. I want to see what our opponent has in hand. Opponent's gonna... Okay, so I need to decide. So I could actually just go for... I can go for Prisoners or Prismari command. Hold on, let's do the math. 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. Okay, some damage short. I think I would rather have that you find some Prisoners. I could also go Deluge again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is also a backup. It's a way to generate some blockers. So let's see. Burn down the house. We don't want the Cyclone Summoner. We probably do want another Deluge. Actually, we just probably want another land to be safe because we are kind of tight. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We leave some behind as blockers, but I think I might just play the safety. You find some Prisoners. Let's just exile some cards off the top to see what they have. And I probably won't swing with all the birds this time. I might just swing with 3 of them. Oh, power word kill is a good hit though. It's actually a so take note, this is ward 3, so I need 5 mana to cast that. That means I probably still want to hold some backups. Also, the problem is if our opponent has... Yeah, if our opponent lets this go and does... We might be fine with it also, so that's a play. Opponent does have their own Galvanic, so they kind of want to do... Lier, Disciple of the Drowned, can't be countered. Let's see what their follow-up spell is. Probably Duress. If they go for Duress, we go for the we go for the PWK here. Let's do the PWK now. Oh yeah, they don't know what... I don't think they know. Yeah, they have no idea what we take. They might have a bounce spell, but I have the wash away prepared for that one. Fading Hope. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Counter target spell that wasn't cast from hand. That would be my spell. So, oh wait, cancel. Can't counter it anyway. So, it's gonna return it. You know what? That's fine. And we can Prismar. And we can Prismari command in addition as well. So now the plan is probably to also activate... No, they had the Field of Ruin. We're not going to go for Hall. We're going to go for the Burn Down the House instead. In fact, we can do double. So, do we want to discard stuff? Probably not. Okay, we might want to discard that. Our opponent... Also have to do a double check on... I know, I think Cinderclasm is all creatures, it's not just non-flying, so that's a dud. You're dividing by 0. I guess we can wash that away. So we need to deal at least 7. I'm still keeping backups just in case. Also, our opponent can bounce these, which I'm kind of fine with. They're going to run out of resources that way. Also, end of turn. Also, we can just Battle of Frost and Fire our board if we have all 6 devils just to go for it. We will still swing first. So the concern is maybe we should have swung with these and not these because our opponent is... Okay, they're going 5 for Lier again. So what spell are they going to cast? They're going to start fading, hoping the tokens. Okay, reduces the threat profile. They probably could have Galvanic Iteration first to get a double shot on that. That did not feel right. Oh wait, no, it would have cost the same. They had their third one. Yeah, that's our opponent just spending it all and probably a Duress for good measure, but we managed to... Yeah, we managed to get there. Yeah, we can divide by 0 for something. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. that's good game. Whew, that was actually a very close one. But the more streamlined blue red is actually gonna be a lot more dangerous than. Well, this is true control. It will give aggro fits. I will say that. It's also giving my runtime a bit of a fit as well. We're already 25 minutes in, and that's just game one. Let's see how far we can go. But there, at least for your 2,000 gold, you at least got 2 card styles out of this. I have gotten as far as 2 wins, 3 wins. I haven't gotten the 4 win yet with this deck, but all in all, I think it's still. All in all, yeah, it's unfortunate that this format was not conducive to anything brand new. So probably I would chalk this up as it's a bit of a fail of an event in terms of if you want to see things different. Though it depends. Sometimes you might actually want you don't want to play a deck that is too different, so you want something that's a bit familiar. And even though we don't have any real synergies with blood tokens, by virtue of playing control and wanting to hold up mana for a lot of the time, you benefit from the blood tokens probably the most. The only other decks that benefit would be those with actual synergies, but those are closer to aggro mid-range. So results may vary. So we definitely. I added a few spike field hazards at the end of the day because there's too much mono white. So let's see if our opponent has some turn 2 Luminarch Aspirant because Talia, Guardian of Traben. Just as annoying, but technically we could hold and just take, but yeah, I think, you know what, we'll take the 1. And the reason for that is because we are relying on the Battle of Frost and Fire, so we are probably a lot better off sniping this ASAP. Yeah, because it affects so many of our spells, it's not funny. If our opponent has another Talia, oh no, Adeline, just as annoying, but maybe not as much. We are incentivized to hit our drops now. Well, we are gonna hit our drops, so we have an Epiphany in hand already, so I don't think I want the second one. But we do want to hit our land drops. So yes, because we need to hit 5 at least. We are going to take a beating for a while. That is usually the big issue here. We'll probably be forced to divide by 0 something. Intrepid Adversary. Okay, there's our divide by 0 target. But we are taking 11 damage. We might not survive the next hit after all. So let's see, we bounce this one. 2, 4, 6, 8. No. If we bounce this, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're dead either way. We needed to be on the draw. We'll redo the math, but yeah, our opponent just has to activate Faceless Save, and we so happen to miss on all our early removal, except for that one Spike Field Hazard, which was kind of important anyway. We didn't. There's no good out to that, but yeah, doesn't matter. We're dead. Doesn't matter. This is kind of the one balancing factor here. So is it an argument for running more creature removal? That's also a problem here, because if you run a lot of creature removal, you just run into another blue-red or a control deck. You're holding a whole lot of nothing. Your removal has to be very specific. I guess it's an argument for like more Spike Field Hazards. I think another thing we could have done is... No, because we had to do the Spike Field Hazard specifically for Talia. There was no other out for that. This one is very bad. Okay, I'm actually gonna just tuck the Epiphany right now. I could use the you find some prisoners to dig for land, but that's also what expressive iteration does. So we'll do that. See if our opponent has the counter. No, they don't. So put iteration in hand. Technically, I should put both because those would be both my land drops. Though we do have a second expressive iteration for that purpose. I could also do find some prisoners depending what our opponent does next. Maybe our opponent does counter this one. Okay, so we are less of a choice. So probably do we need to hit 5 right away? Kind of. This gives us you find some prisoners end of turn, so it's a bit of a sneak option. Also, I'm surprised our opponent did not have a Siphon Insight here. Let's see what our opponent's actually doing. Our opponent could, because they've done a whole lot of nothing at this point. Shadow's Verdict, Hall. We'll take the Hall. So our opponent is basically just some control. My anti-creature control at that. So we're just going to keep hitting our land drops for the most part. Unfortunately, we are going to get hit with a... We might get hit with Eye Tyrant here. 7. Let's play this. Cyclone Summoner is our other board wipe in terms of aggro decks. It's more of a mid-range thing. We do kind of have to get there. That's the issue. Opponent surprisingly not. I actually want to just hold up the wash away divide by 0, so we're gonna pass. Though I suspect our opponent's not gonna really do anything, so we're gonna just cast the environmental sciences out. Let's get it out of the way. Opponent's going for it. This time we're gonna wash that away. Opponent's been kind of relying on that, but we're not giving it to them. Not that easily. Also note that we have to be careful of 5 mana up, because that is enough to kill a whole of the Storm Giants. Yeah, we borrowed it, but it's still a concern. Does our opponent have another memory? No, they gave up on the Memory Deluge plan. I'm probably gonna have to let the next one go though. We at least know we got rid of 2 of their Shadow's Verdicts, and they're not running Blood in the Snow, surprisingly enough. So I'm actually gonna cast our turn to cast Memory Deluge. They probably have a counter. I will divide it by 0. As much as I want the other Memory Deluge, I kinda have a sneak. Opponent Field of Ruin. The Consider's nice too, but we're actually gonna take their Field of Ruin. Gives us an out for their the High Tyrant. So our concern is multiple counter spells, so we're not going to fire off the Alvin's Epiphany quite yet. Now we can do this all day. Well, not all day. It's gonna the all day video is probably gonna run way too long. Opponent really sitting on nothing. I am willing to just crack it to get rid of the Eye Tyrant once and for all. For first, just get it out of the way. They might be need. I don't think they need triple blue. There's no triple blue card I can think of at this moment. Opponent is floating some mana. So let's see what their follow-up spell is. Yeah, we're not gonna cast any of these quite yet. Opponent really is our opponent literally just sitting on a ton of rats and removal and that's it? Yeah, it looks like that's what they're sitting on. So let's do some math here. I can Galvanic. 1, 2, wait, that's for another house. Let's make sure we pull the right card. So Galvanic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feels a bit early. But if our opponent's just discarding cards one at a time, I'm perfectly fine with it. I don't think you guys are fine with this one though. This is probably going to be the epitome of a... Though I will say, this is very atypical. Maybe our opponent has a way to exile it. Basically, I'm trying to force our opponent to counter or... Oh, opponent just gave up. I think our opponent was expecting the rush of aggro, which is a decent plan. But they happen to run into the exact opposite problem. That's kind of why it's very hard. It's very hard for best of one in this case because you have two opposite extremes. And I think our opponent built their control way too hard in terms of one-on-one creature removal, which you never want to do. We have a lot. Our opponent did have the Shadow's Verdict, so that is a board wipe means, but if our opponent was only going to draw cards with Memory Deluge, that might be a problem. Ideally, you'd want other ways to draw cards. Just relying on being able to cast it 8 times, it's nice, but this is super sketchy. We have a Demon Bolt, but and a lot of cards to foretell, but if our opponent happens to be aggro, we are in so much trouble. I'm gonna keep it anyway. If anything, yep. It's aggro. I guessed wrong. Let's see if we can... Uh-oh, we are in trouble. That is... We are gonna start... We probably will have to tuck the Demon Bolt. If only to get past Talia next turn. So we are gonna take a bit of a big beating. Good news is we are hitting our land drops. So we're gonna safely tuck the Demon Bolt away. Let's see if our opponent has a follow-up. I might also be tempted to take out the Faceless Haven with this, but we are not really doing anything else. Elite Spellbinder, yeah, that's why we tuck this one away. There is no way we're gonna auto lose if we have to cast 6 mana for this. Opponent takes the Windfall, which kind of makes sense. It's the least ideal card in the deck, but it's something we need to. Okay. We have to go for this now. Because some white builds run Valorous stance. Unfortunately, we're probably going to lose this one on the fact that our opponent got to go first. Opponent plays Paladin class, so we're not countering any... And another Talia. Yeah. It's going to be a while. We did not have... But it's going to actually cost 6 mana now. Which does make this a bit of an issue. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's a good team. So pretty much you have to do one or the other. Our opponent has multiple ways of doing this. But yeah, if I guess this particular build you probably want some earlier spells. Fading Hope is a good choice. So what are the cards you'd probably want to cut? It's a bit weird. But I might probably reduce the number of Cyclone Summoners. That I think three of them is probably too excessive. So my adjusted build for this most likely just we don't need this many Cyclone Summoners. We might not even want all of them. There's an argument for just cutting all of these, adding more spot removal. And since we are not running Snow, Flame Blessed Bolt is probably an option, but ideally you want to be running Play with Fire. So we probably cut one of these. Probably cut one Windfall. Because this helps build up to our combo, but most of the time we are just patiently getting there. Probably one wash away. We don't need that many counters, so that's probably the change I'm going to make. It will affect our mana though, because we cut a bunch of well, it affects our mana quite a lot actually. So it's gonna have to be more like this. If you have more Snarls, I would probably cut the Den of the Bugbear as well. And I cut the Den of the Bugbear, add more Snarls, maybe make adjustments to the number of basics. This is probably how I would adjust this. Find some prisoners. Yeah, mileage may vary depending on the matchup. I do like this on the longer ones because it's easy to fish a lot of good stuff out from your opponent's deck. But there you go. I guess Galvanic Iteration is also a relative easy cut, but you do get a lot of advantage by doubling Divide, doubling Demon Bolt, doubling Prismari Command. Not doubling Memory Deluge, but there we go. That's going to be it for this episode of the Magic Arena Run. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, turn on notifications and whatnot. Let's see. 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I already have 9 of the styles now, so I'll probably be grinding this a little bit more over time. But I'll save that for next time. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time. Take care, God bless, stay safe wherever you are. Have a great week, everyone.